wanted to just let you know. DCE, did he do enough to keep that spot? Yeah, let's assume Cleary comes and plays well.
I'm not sure how much they'll actually put into this game and the actual performance, but for me, I think DCE had to do enough for me to say, no, Cleary isn't the guy, and for me, he didn't. I still think it has to be Nath. Once you get Isaiah Yeo back into this side, I think you'd be crazy to go in a different direction personally.
I can't believe it's still an argument, to be honest, boys, that DC could potentially be over Nathan Cleary. I heard you boys speaking about on last week's podcast, and I cannot believe people are still saying, is it Cleary or DC? Of course it's Cleary.
Yep.
He's the best halfback and probably player in the world. Like, DC was great in this game, and not surprisingly, he's a world-class, one of the best halfbacks in the world, but Nathan Cleary's better.
Yeah, and I think everyone understands that, and everyone probably agrees with it. But the way that Mal keeps talking, he keeps this conversation going for me. I'm not convinced he is going to go Cleary yet.
Well, that's a thing though. Like, there's some pretty good pundits in the game that are like, ooh, not sure. And I don't know whether that's out of respect for DC because everything is done in the game. And look, I've got so much respect for DC, and he's an incredible player. He's outside of the one hiccup with the Titans, he's been a stalwart of setting the right example, all that kind of stuff. Like, he is given so much to the game and been incredible. But what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? We've got the back-to-back premiership winning number 7 that is absolutely tearing the competition apart, tearing it apart. He won the Clive Churchill last year. Like, what are we talking about? It is insane. Like, again, all respect to DC, incredible. And this is just an opinion. It's not I think he has been amazing. But there's unfortunately, DC, the most he's gone to in the last few years, a prelim. Now, look, was he better in game 3 this year for Queensland? Absolutely. And I sung his praises to the roof after that game. And if you were to say who was ahead of each other going into, if there was an Australian camp, the next camp, I would have said you probably have to say DC because he outplayed Cleary. But that's one game in how many years now? Like, DC Cleary for 3 years has been out and out the best 7 in the game. It's got to be him. I think that if DC came out and absolutely killed it and was man of the match, then not out of respect, but then you go, yeah, for sure, DC should be in the conversation. But I thought he was good. He was good, but he wasn't. It wasn't like he was the best player on the field. So I think it has to be Cleary. I really do. And again, this is no disrespect to DC as a player. He is incredible. His career is amazing. But it has to be Cleary. It's his time. Give him the 7 jersey, even though, don't get me started on that fucking number. This numbers debacle, it is an absolute joke. It is a joke. And whoever made the decision, I'm sure they had good intentions, but it is a terrible decision. It is a terrible decision. No one likes it. It doesn't add anything to the game. It adds nothing. Tell me one good thing this gives to the game. One good thing.
I think the only good thing it gave to Mal Meninga was that he didn't have to pick his fucking halfback yet. That's it. I can't think of any other positive that can possibly come out of it. Matt, like I was saying on my podcast the other day, like, this is the time where we get to show rugby league to the world. If you haven't seen it before, imagine trying to explain it to people.
I was having trouble.
That's
you're watching and you're going, you got to. Every time you see a player run the ball, you ask yourself again, like, oh, who's that? Who's that? It is terrible. Change it. Yeah. Shocking decision. I cannot express that enough.